It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by Agile Dad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started. All right, everyone. I thought it'd be a good time to check in with you and let you know about something that happened to me just this week. I had an opportunity to present at a conference that I've never been to before. Now, normally I'm not one to give shameless plugs to conferences, even if they pick me to speak. But this conference was kind of off the hook. What I recall is that each and every session that I went to, we had an energetic speaker, we had some really good information, and most of all, I think the majority of the people who were in attendance really had a good time. It was a well-structured conference. It was lightly attended because of COVID just kind of burning down and people starting to come to conferences, but it was just really, really a good time. And I had an opportunity to present there. So I just wanted to kind of say thank you to the group that put on a Project Summit Business Analyst World Conference and give you just a high level overview of what we talked about and what we learned. So my my presentation, of course, was pretty hysterical. So the topic was Vanilla Ice was the perfect agile coach, and I think I'll drop a link to the presentation in the comments. But we went on to talk about how Vanilla Ice is such a unique character. He was a nobody who became a somebody because of a song and wound up taking that song to a whole new level. It just you can't write these things the way it happened. It was just so unique, and he had this innate ability to. He was charismatic. That's the word I'm looking for. He had an innate ability to bring people to him, right, and to have people who were enamored by what he could do. And he was a Caucasian rapper who the subject matter was quite funny, but it was just really, really interesting to see how he went about, doing his gig and how he went about doing the things that he did. Many people thought he would be a one hit wonder, and he went on to create a few albums, and he ended up gaining a cult following. But of course, we all know him for his hit song, Ice Ice Baby, where he's taught us all the importance of being a good agile coach. So today I thought it'd be fun to tell you. I'm not going to do the whole presentation, but I thought it'd be fun to tell you the top 5 lessons that I learned from Vanilla Ice to become a better agile coach. So here we go. The first lesson that he taught us is in the very beginning of the song Ice Ice Baby, and this is the most obvious one. He taught us all to stop, collaborate, and listen. If you remember him, he said, "All right, stop, collaborate, and listen," right? I think this was probably a priceless piece of advice because it didn't matter which role you're in. If you're a product owner, it's important that you stop speaking, collaborate with the stakeholders, listen to what they have to say, and then follow back with some reflection so that you can make sure that you best understand what the product or service should be that you're trying to build, and who the target audience is and what you're trying to do. If you're a scrum master, agile coach, of course you're going to stop and you're going to collaborate with the team, you're going to collaborate with the product owner, you're going to make sure you're listening to the needs and listening for symptoms. If you're a team member, sometimes you need to just stop and take a breather, make sure you're still on the right path, collaborate with your peers, do peer reviews, and listen to what's going on in your mind, because sometimes you'll get ideas or things that come to you so that you can create a better product or service. All right. The next line that he says later in a song is, "To the extreme, I rock a mic like a vandal." So he understood that doing things just the everyday way wasn't good enough. That in order for us to have success, we needed to do things to the extreme. Now, that one sounds kind of funny, but it's true. When we really motivate ourselves to do better, and when anyone who does things mediocre all their life and expects phenomenal results is poorly mistaken, right? It's not going to happen that way. You almost have to jump in and be like, yo, I'm going to put it all in here. I'm going to get it all out, right? So it's important to do things to the extreme. All right, next. He says, "I'll light up the stage," right? And this one's interesting because I think what this reminded me of as an agile coach is that it's important for us to review and demo our products or services. Don't be afraid to light up the stage and show people what you got. I think all too often we overlook or bypass demos, or we don't do things we need to do. There's just a lot going on, right? So I think it's incredibly important for us when we have the opportunity to get people involved, to light up the stage. It's a good idea. It's a good thing, right? All right. So we want to make sure we're stopping, collaborating, and listening, that we respect the process to the extreme, and that we're always prepared to light up the stage. Yes? Here comes number four. Number four, and it is my favorite line in the whole song: anything less than the best is a felony. What a great line. What he's saying is that if we give our absolute best to the things that we do, and we're not mediocre and we're not right? And we're not just doing things to get them done, and we understand what our drive is, that we can really be prepared to make a difference, and that we can really do things, and we shouldn't be doing anything less than our absolute best. That work is about doing the things that we do, and sure, we're compensated for it, but I think that the ultimate reward is that our product or service is going to revolutionize or change something in the world. So that's incredibly important. And then finally, uh, he has this one line, and it is the one I'm sure everybody knows: "If you got a problem, yo, I'll solve it. Check out the hook while my DJ revolve it." Now, if you've ever attended my classes before, you know that I'm not an advocate for the Scrum Master solving every problem. In fact, I believe that the Scrum Master should allow the team to solve most of their problems, and that the Scrum Master should only step in when it's a problem that the team can't resolve. So in this situation, if you got a problem, yo, I'll solve it. I think this was a last resort after the team had expressed to Vanilla that they couldn't get resolution themselves, that they couldn't find a way to resolve the issue themselves. So they turned to Vanilla for help, which is exactly who I turned to as well. But what was so interesting about Vanilla Ice, and people are like, why do you know so much about this guy? Uh, yeah, I have a couple of quotes from him. So the first quote he said is, "I use music as a kind of therapy. And it's just amazing that I feel so free after doing that. I feel like it was trapped inside of me, and now I feel free." He wrote about pain and frustration. He wrote about being bullied. He wrote about a culture. He wrote about things that were happening in his life. And what was interesting is that at the time, we may not have even realized it, because the song was just so catchy, and the tune was so catchy, and things were, so good. It's just so interesting to me that, that this guy, turned nothing into something in a very wild way, right? And then he left, and this is interesting. When he left the music scene and decided to change his life and to open doors, he got tattooed across his across his knuckles on his fingers, and it says "wide open." And here's a quote. He said, "The most valuable lesson I've ever learned in my life is that life is about family and friends, not about material things or any of that. It's about enjoying your life. If you have no family and no friends to enjoy it with, it don't matter how much you have, how much success you have, how much fame you have, how much money you have. It just doesn't matter." So I guess Vanilla is a lot more wise than we than we put him on a pedestal. We might have written him off a long time ago, but this guy's got some wisdom, right? He's got some knocks. And what I see here is that, how does this apply to being a good agile coach? Sometimes it's about that team that's your family. Sometimes it's about, making these people feel like they're your friends and that they can trust you, and creating that environment of psychological safety. And even though it might sound to the extreme, that was funny. The message from Vanilla Ice is one that I think we all need to take to heart. And, my whole presentation was about getting from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. How do we be more open minded? How do we be more wide open? How do we become an innovative disruptor? How do we change the world? And I think that if we just all, thought about some of those things that are fun that inspired us along the way, that we can find creative ways to incorporate those into helping uplift others and make the world a better place. Well, that's going to do it for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have something you'd like for us to talk about, feel free to reach out to us, learn more at agiledad.com, where we'd love to hear from you so we can address your topic. And as always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.